Hey guys, Will with LearnChess101.com here. Just had a recent chess match I played. We're going to go over it today and get a couple lessons out of it. Let's get started. The beginning of the chess match, just pretty standard opening. Bring out the kings, he brings out his bishop. I move there to protect my own pawn. Then here I just move my bishop out to either have his move or his captured, just to avoid any potential moves he might be trying to make. At that point he moves and puts my king in check, at which point again I just block it with my bishop, and he moves back to his original spot. I move a pawn there to put a little pressure on him to either once again move, and now he moves there hoping to capture my knight in the corner, you see there, and it's 8-8 in the right corner. But again, I move my bishop out there, and this time he captures it, to which then I capture it with my knight. Here again, just moving out our pieces, setting up the board a little bit more. I do a castle. And here he brings his bishop in. Obviously, he wasn't going to capture my rook. I just move it out of the way. And then it looks like at this point he's going to try to do something with his queen and the bishop, which I just put my bishop there. My own personal preference, whenever there's a bishop or any piece closing in on my king, I always like to just capture them quickly just to get him out of there. And again, he moves his bishop. Then we trade the knight for the bishop. Here we're just doing some catchers, opening up the board a little bit. I could have taken his queen here, just wouldn't have made sense. So I move my queen out of the way. And then right here, this is where the game takes the turn. You'll see this next move right here. I now have him in the knight capture. This is what makes the knight so effective, is that right now I have his king in check, and I can capture not only his rook, but you'll see the queen right here at e3. And this is where the game takes a turn for the better for me, worse for my opponent. And I'll go ahead and I capture his queen, and he gets my knight in return. And then at this point, I put him again in check with my bishop. He moves out of the way, and I just capture his knight. At this point, I just want to get rid of more of his pieces, just so he doesn't even have a chance now that I have the advantage with the queen and he has no queen. Then here I'm moving in my queen in position to capture the pawn at d3 and being covered by my rook. He anticipates it, or she, whoever my opponent is, anticipates it. And then I capture the bishop, putting my queen in position now to put a little pressure on his king and achieve checkmate. Then he brings his rook over there. And right here I do the move called check and awe, which you can read about in the book The Chess Formula, located on our site, LearnChess101.com. And that's basically where you put the king in check, and the next move you can capture a high-ranking piece. In this case, it's going to be the rook at a1. You'll see I do right here. And at this point now I have a major advantage. And now he starts moving his knight, hoping to most likely be in a position to capture put my king in check and capture a rook. At this point I'm just taking out a couple pawns, just preparing to make my move on the king. And he takes one of my pawns. Again, I take one of his pawns. And right here, as you can see, he's hoping to put a move where his knight can actually capture either my queen or my rook. You'll see that at d8 here. and then b4. Except the one thing he didn't anticipate there is in my next move I just put his king in check. And now again he has to move his king, and now I actually get to capture his knight too. So now at this point it's his rook versus my queen and 2 rooks. And sometimes in this case I'll just sacrifice one of my own rooks just to get rid of any piece he has, just to basically make it a very quick capture, but in this case I didn't really have to. So he moves his pawns down the board, and I put him in check with my rook, and then he moves in position there, to which then I just have to move my queen to f6, and now I have him in checkmate. So see, the queen's guarding all that whole entire row of 5, and he can't move to 3 because I have my rook there, and then that's checkmate. So the big things to take away from this game, it would really be just how to utilize your knight. You notice the knight's what really brought on the advantage when I was able to capture his queen in return. And the biggest thing too is to make sure that doesn't happen to you. Because a lot of times what happens to players, the biggest mistake they make is not paying attention to where the knight's going. And then as a result, they end up losing either a rook or a queen. And the knight causes a lot of problems for people. So that's this big thing to look out to. And I hope you guys learned a little bit of something from this. And hopefully we'll catch you again on the next video. And thank you for watching.